Hello and welcome to the Analog Leftie. My name is Elise. Today's video is what I would say an extension and probably the final stage of my spiral into the Uniball 1 pens. We're going to be looking at Uni's latest release in the gel pen space after the Uniball 1, the Uniball Zento. So if you remember, when I was in the US back in December, I bought a 2-pack of Uniball Zentos from Target. I got curious when I saw them because they looked really similar to the Uniball 1, and yet I've never even heard of them. And then on February of this year, Mitsubishi Japan made an official announcement of the complete Uniball Zento line. I wasn't sure why there seemed to be a quiet release in the US market first in the big box stores, but as soon as Mitsubishi released the pens, the models catered to the Japanese market have been very difficult to acquire. I don't even know how quick they sold out as soon as they got listed in Japanese stores and even like North American retailers who would usually carry these pens like jet pens. And sure enough, you can find them for exorbitant prices on eBay, especially the flagship model. But I was able to somehow get my hands on another model in the Uni North American website, and even that seemed to be very limited in stock. So today we're going to be looking at the Uniball Zento Standard and Flow models. So the first one I have right here is the Uniball Zento in the standard model. I can't exactly remember how much I got it from Target, maybe $2 for the 2-pack, but this one is the ivory body and this one is Adobe. They are both in 0.7 millimeters, but the Japanese release come in 0.38 and 0.5. I think the 0.7 millimeter is the more common tip size for North America because people tend to write larger characters compared to Japanese. The standard model is a very simple, minimalist design. As you can see, it just has a single color all throughout, and it's made with ABS plastic. The entire section of where the barrel separates from the rest of the pen body is coated with a rubber-like material, but the Uni website calls it a seamless soft grip and is made of 76% recycled material. This grip is supposed to be an additional comfort for when you write. Next, this is the Uniball Zento Flow model, which I got from the Uni North American website for $15, which already is more than what I would normally spend for a non-fountain pen. But this would be the next model up after the standard model. This is in the jade or dark green body in 0.5 millimeters. As you can see, it's very similar in style to the standard model, but the difference is instead of the soft grip barrel, it now has a metal section, maybe anodized aluminum. And then the tip material is made of plastic, which you can actually unscrew from the rest of the barrel. I can already see that being an opportunity to swap out parts and create custom combinations if you have multiples of this pen in different colors. So if we bring in a couple of the Uniball ones, you can clearly see that they really carry the same design DNA. The minimalist monochromatic color scheme and the streamlined pen profile and even the spring-loaded clip, but there are some differences of note. So first, the clip on the Uniball Zento is narrower compared to the Uniball 1, and it's attached to a circular Uni logo, while the Uniball 1 is attached to a pill-shaped logo. And if you compare the sizes, they are both the same length, but the Zento pen body extends longer towards the top with a more rounded shape than flat compared to the Uniball one, and the click is shorter and wider compared to the Uniball one. If I were to make a direct comparison, I think the standard Uniball Zento model is more closely related to just the Uniball one, the most basic model, because of the mostly plastic construction, plus they both have this rubber material on the grip, and they're both the entry-level models for each line. The flow, I would say, is more comparable to the Uniball 1F. If you remember, the Uniball 1F has a metal lining in the barrel, giving it a lower center of gravity, and is just a bit more pricey than the Uniball 1, the basic model. The flow, instead of a metal lining, it just has a metal barrel altogether, which is probably why it's 3 times the price of the standard Zento model. In terms of handling, I honestly couldn't decide which one I prefer over the other. On one hand, I like the soft grip of the standard model, which I know would just be great for long writing sessions. But on the other, I prefer my pens to have a little weight on them, which the Flow has. But I can already see how the metal barrel can get a tad slippery for some folks. But also the soft grip on the standard model can attract dust. So there's a trade-off in both models. However, to be fair, I haven't had issues with a slippy grip with the Zento Flow, and that's thanks to the ink formulation. There's very little information on the formula of the Zento ink, but the key point that Uni highlights about this pen is the super smooth, quick dry writing flow, which helps you enter a mindful and almost meditative state, or zen, I guess. In terms of the writing experience, it does have a much smoother flow compared to the Uniball one, and it's especially noticeable on the 0.7mm. There was absolutely no need to MacGyver like how I do when I write with the Uniball one. It's just smooth writing without any skips or railroading, and it's very reliable. And because the flow is super consistent, you don't really need to apply a lot of pressure or grip the pen too hard when writing. And that's what I think allows for a stable grip on the metal barrel of the flow. You can just hold it normally and the pen will write as it's supposed to. In terms of the quick drying claim, I've found that it should be safe around 5 seconds, which should be enough dry time for a lefty with an overwriter or side writer grip. If you're going to highlight anything though, I think it's best if you give it a few minutes to dry, just to be safe that it doesn't smear. So let me just see how it highlights on this paper. Yeah, so I've found that if you're gonna do any highlighting, you might want to wait a few minutes to prevent any smears, because it's honestly quite hit or miss. It's kind of unpredictable, but I found that the Zentos work best on more absorbent paper like this one. This is just a standard writing paper, and then this one is the Maruman notepad, which has a bit of coating. So yeah, it's kind of hit and miss, but yeah, it definitely works great on standard writing paper. So while the flow of the Zento is so much better, the Uniball one is more quick drying and smear proof, definitely. Also, there are two things that I would like to point out that might be a direct result of the ink formulation of the Zento. First, on the 0.7 millimeter, you can get some line width variation depending on the angle of how you hold the pen when you write. So the higher the angle, you get thinner lines, and lower angle, you get thicker lines. Let me just demonstrate. So I'm holding this on a lower angle. And now I'm gonna write at a higher angle. So yeah, as you can see, the line that I wrote on a lower angle, like how I would write with a fountain pen, is showing up much thicker, and then the one on the upright position is definitely much thinner. I've never seen this in other ballpoint pens. It's definitely unique. I don't exactly know how to explain it, but I think it's because of the smooth flowing ink, and writing at a lower angle creates a wider contact point between pen to paper, creating thicker lines. I don't exactly know how to describe it. The second point is that I think with the new smoother ink formulation, they were not able to achieve the super pigmented black ink as they did on the Uniball one. As you can see in this comparison, it's not as black compared to the Uniball 1 ink. At the 0.5 millimeter tip, the Pentel Energel is even darker compared to the Zento, and the Zento is much closer in shade to the Muji gel pen, which is the least black in the bunch. But as you can see at the back, it still doesn't bleed, and there's no feathering as well. As always, if you like the Uniball Zento standard and flow pen bodies but not the ink, you can use other Japanese gel pen ink refills that are similarly shaped to the Zento gel refill. The good news is both pens are not as restrictive as the Uniball 1F that has super low tolerances in shape variation because of the metal barrel lining that it had. And if you remember in that video, it didn't fit the Pentel Energel needle tip refill because of that additional step towards the tapering. These pens don't have any linings in the barrel, so you can fit a Pentel Energel in there no problem at all. Now, we didn't touch on the two other models because I don't have them with me, but there is the basic model, which is very similar to the Uniball ones with the white barrel and has the color indicator on the clicker. And I believe they're only available in black, red, and blue inks, and they're around the same price as the standard model. And then there's the signature model, which is the flagship and the most expensive and elusive. It's a totally different beast because it looks very premium and it's a capped pen rather than a clicker. Unsharpen has already made some videos about it, and I think Fudefan as well. At the moment, I don't feel the urge to get my hands on the signature model. I'm actually quite glad that It's been very difficult to get because I wouldn't put it past myself to buy one just out of curiosity and impulse, even if it's 35 US dollars. But because I've had the chance to actually think on it, it's not a type of pen that I want right now. I'm currently very into the click mechanism of non fountain pen pens, but then again, I wouldn't put it past myself to get one when it becomes more widely available in North America. And that is my review of the Uniball Zento Standard and Flow models. I really like them because they have the same minimalist aesthetic that I loved from the Uniball 1, with a comfortable grip on the Standard and a more premium feel in the Flow. I really enjoy the smooth flowing ink, which solved the problem of the Uniball 1 ink, but I wish they were able to keep the same level of pigmentation, quick dry time, and smear and smudge resistance. At the time of this recording, second week of May, the Flow and Signature models aren't widely available yet, and if they're still not available when this comes out, my suggestion is to just wait till it reaches our market. We might see some price adjustments, and just don't spend way too much above the retail price. So yeah, I'd love to hear your thoughts. Would you get the Uniball Zento pens? And if you have them right now, at least the standard model, what's your experience been like? Let me know in the comments below. And if you made it to the end of this video, I appreciate your time and you for being here. Thank you for watching. Take care, and I'll see you on the next one.